Hi, and welcome once again to What's the Damage, companion show to the incredibly well-known and popular real play D&D show, Roll for Damage. Can you believe we've been doing this for almost a year? So close. So, on Friday, our Shields of Twilight left the tender, gentle embrace of Cageborough and ventured into the treacherous jungle in search of a certain temple and certain answers that might be contained therein. The gang all got friendship necklaces. It was very sweet. They fought some plant monsters, and they came across some people who Peregrine was quite eager to meet. Their welcome wasn't all that warm, though, and they will need to prove themselves before finding what they seek. And we'll be breathlessly speculating on what'll happen next, starting right now. Then, a little bit later, we'll be talking about dump stats and high stats and how they affect RP. As always, stick around after the stream for links and resources. I'm your host, Truth Venson, and this is What's the Damage? Welcome back. I'm joined today by two wonderful guests. We've got the Gross couple here live for the first time in a while since Laura's been busy with school. We have Laura, who plays Peregrine, and we have Chad, who plays Quinn. Thank you guys for coming on. So, you guys had a fun little episode. You got some jewelry. You moved on from Cage Barrow. You came across some of Perry's cousins, sort of in the jungle. So, what's the damage this time?
I mean, I just hate those stinky plants because they smell terrible. They're full of dead bodies, and there's like nothing good about any of them.
Yeah, but at least you got a turn in combat. Like, I spent 90% of battle either puking or unconscious until like the.
Is she breaking out for everybody?
No.
Why is that happening? Chad, why aren't you breaking up? You have the same internet, yeah.
I know. She's even closer to the router than I am. I don't understand.
Okay, some technical difficulties, folks.
What's happening?
Be better, internet. Okay, say the thing you said, but do it again. Take two.
Yeah, do it perfectly. Exactly the same as you were doing before.
I mean, at least you got to participate in the fight. If I recall correctly, Perry was either puking or unconscious for like 90% of that fight.
I mean, you did have the really badass blight spell. It was like, I hate you, die.
Good way to describe life.
Stupid plant! Bam!
I was super excited because I was like, oh, I have the perfect spell for this. It's a one-off, but I could do it. And immediately I fail several con saves and die.
Yeah.
Man, it happens.
It does.
Say lovey.
Lovey.
Anyway, so Did you two guys like your friendship necklaces that you got from Sinric? Because I thought that was such a good character moment for everybody.
Those
It
were
was.
delightful. I know that was just unexpected because the way Cindric is, it's like you figure at this point we would expect him to be as randomly deep as he is, but no, we always forget that there's that layer to him. And then it comes out and like, oh, right, that thing you do that surprises everybody somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this is the same thing as when he's dispensing like weird sage wisdom and things like that. Like, here, have these heartfelt gifts I carved for you myself out of something terrible. Like, good God, man. One, when do you find the time? Two, now I don't know what I'm going to get you for Fantasy Christmas, but I guess it has to be really good now.
Yeah, I spent like 3 sessions wondering what the hell is he doing. He's like, I'm working on the rocks. I'm like,
These rocks.
I mean, I know you collected part of that evil star. Are you fashioning weapons? No, here's a handmade gift.
You trying to make like fancy daggers or something out of star metal? Like, I'm for this. Like, maybe we can stab things more. I don't even stab things, and I'm like, I'm okay with this idea.
Also would have been a thoughtful gift.
It also would have, because then it's not only thoughtful but functional.
Mm-hmm. And these are functional. You can look at them anytime and remember the sage words of wisdom that Cindric shared with you.
Yes, this is true.
Awesome. Yeah, so a bit of stuff has happened since you were all on the show last. So one of the things is you guys are currently being stalked by an evil goth who you met in the same place that Cindric got his cool rocks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there was some discussion when you were in the Ocean Village about what this means as you guys go out and interact with the world. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, I will agree with most of the sentiment that was expressed. It's pretty terrible as far as, ways to have to introduce you. Like, hello, my name is Quinn. By the way, if you suddenly start turning against your will into some sort of horribly transmogrified monster, I will have to kill you, but I will only do it to end your suffering.
I'll feel bad.
And what's your name? But I mean, it doesn't really, it's one of those things where this sucks, but it doesn't get to dictate how we do things and how we live, because at that point we are basically condemning ourselves to being hermits. And hermits in D&D are dangerous because there's a fine line between hermits that are trying to distance themselves from society and murder hobos who forget how society works. Like, I don't like this problem. I wonder what happened if I stabbed it a whole lot. Oh, I see, it bleeds to death on the ground and is no longer a problem. Well, I guess that's one solution. Let me apply this liberally to every problem.
I mean, Perry's acutely aware of the fact that those poor drow definitely got turned into something horrible, probably because we were there. If they had not met us, they would be just going along with their happy little drow lives.
Doing drow stuff.
Doing what drow do. Drow things. And now they're dead. And so, like, the idea of taking whatever is following them and that level of darkness and destruction and literal evil into places like the Grove of Life, where she's already kind of aware of the fact that maybe she's not welcome, really bothers her a lot.
I think she's not welcome. They're like, oh, look, tourists, get out. Not even trying to show us to the gift shop.
Man. Yeah, well, I suppose we'll see what happens next and whether people are going to keep mutating to weird monsters around you guys. Should be fun.
Yeah.
Everything's fine, Truth. Everything's just fine. None of us are worried at all.
Okay.
Things are great.
Well, you two sound very confident. I'm sure it'll be an easy road from here on out. That's definitely how
that
D&D
confidence
works
is a
as
lie.
a game. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so jungle time. You guys were venturing into a new environment, although I think you've been in jungle-like environments relatively recently, a forest at least. But it was humid and there were new weird monsters. Let's touch a bit on that fight with those zombie barfing plant things.
Yeah.
Perry was having a bit of a hard time, but I want to hear both of your perspectives.
I mean, I'll let her go first because the whole fight was basically Florida. It was hot. It was swampy. It was full of weird zombies I didn't want to interact with, and things smelled bad. It was Florida.
Yeah, final boss, Florida man.
Kind of.
Well, now I'm concerned that that's going to happen in the jungle. Thanks for that, Nightmare.
It's okay. Florida man is more of a danger to himself than us, so I think we should be able to make
That's what you
it
think.
through. If we can
You
just
think
dodge. If we can dodge
Florida
away.
man Florida man is many powered and possibly all knowing. So anyway, Perry, Laura, let's hear your thing on the battle.
I mean, it started out with just some really, really shitty luck. Like half of us fail our initial con save and are all puking, Perry included. And then right out of the gate, I just get beat to shit. But I mean, everybody was kind of doing their job. It was pretty impressive considering how bad our luck was. Like the healers were healing, like, and still managing to do some damage. And I was so excited because it was like plant monster. I get to use a spell I've never gotten to use. I love flight. As a player, I love flight. And then I passed out.
Yep.
3 times. Or maybe it was only 2. I don't know. But I never had to make a death save. And I still got that blight off.
Yay.
Pretty good overall.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good thing that your cleric, out of paranoia, never unprepares the healing spells literally ever. Because I know what happens if I do. That's when the monsters come.
Oh, the monsters are coming already.
I know, which is why those spells are always prepared, because I know they're out there. They're all out to get me.
Pretty much.
You specifically.
I mean, not me specifically yet, but no, in general, like more of like the royal me, I guess.
The royal me.
Yes, the royal me.
That's a new one.
I know, I just made it up. It's fun.
Love it. Anyway, so yeah, as Laura mentioned, like the healers were pretty on point. So your thoughts on the battle?
Yeah, I thought it went, other than the horrible luck of, oh, look, half the party vomits now, and some of them continue to vomit and or just get knocked down to the ground real good. Other than that, things were actually going rather well. And yeah, we ended up being able to get through without having to burn literally everything we had on trying to kill plant monsters. And random zombies that they done vomited up. Stupid zombies.
Plant zombies, they shouldn't go together. Like, that doesn't make sense. I don't like it. It's gross.
No, not at all.
Lovely. So anyway, Perry had a little bit of a family reunion, although with distant relatives you don't know at all or very well.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think this is the first time Perry's come across strange Oshiden that weren't dead or dying or trapped in a nightmare dungeon, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, so it
100%
seemed like a pretty emotional experience for her.
Yeah. She got exactly the reaction she's been afraid of, which is oh, you're one of them. And she's been carrying that weight around with her since the ruins, of the realization of what her people have done versus what everyone else has done. And so there's been this sort of burden to pick up the slack. And also this recognition that while the one guy she met was like, okay, no, we appreciate your help, she knows that she's going to come across people who are like, no, you hid away. Why should we bother to help you? So she kind of got the reaction she was expecting, but also dreading.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really hard for her because what she wants to do is this place is like home. This is how she grew up. And she wants to just like rush in with open arms and like, yay, my people. But it doesn't work like that. And it's never going to work like that. And that's really hard for her to deal with and accept.
So could it? It's something I've been wanting to ask for a little while. So, like, does Perry want to bring her people back into the world, like after she saves them and everything? Like, is that what she's wanting? Like, as she makes contact with the outside world and with these other ocean tribes?
Yes. Especially having found out that what she's known her whole life is not true.
Mm-hmm.
Because, all of the stories she grew up on are, we spread out and then we retreated. Every single tribe retreated from the world to preserve themselves because they decided the world was a lost cause. They could only protect the little areas they were in, and they should focus there and ignore the wider world. And now she's learning that wasn't true at all. And the way she sees it, her people were wrong. Her people were 100% wrong to completely retreat. And so she wants to hopefully take some sort of cure back and like lead her people out, or at least convince them, hey, we have a job to do and we haven't been doing it. And look at what the world is becoming because we're not.
It's not great.
No, it's not. It's not great at all. Actually.
Yeah. A lot of weird stuff happening out in the world. So do you think that Perry coming back like as a savior for her people is going to make it easier to then convince those people to give up their isolation? Because that is kind of a little bit of leverage you might have.
Yeah, you got to ride that clout.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ride that savior clout in.
People can be very set in their ways.
I honestly am not sure. The way that when I wrote my backstory and gave it to Serenity, I wrote them like deeply ingrained in this belief system, but there's a lot that I personally as a player have no idea about. A ton. Because I filled my backstory with holes like Swiss cheese. Specifically to allow the DM to just fuck with me. And so I have no idea. I don't know how much of that tribe is deeply ingrained in this idea, how many people really do want to come and leave their little isolated corner. So I'm not sure.
We'll see. I think it's going to be very interesting once Perry finally manages to go home again.
Yeah, I'm both nervous and excited, but that's probably a while off, so.
I'm sure it's a while off, when we're like barely through the first bit. Yeah. It's going to be a long road, folks. Don't worry. You're not going to run out of roll for damage anytime soon. Awesome. So obviously this is an important area for Perry. I mean, a physical area, important place to be, a lot of emotional weight. But Quinn also had a reason to be here, specifically for a little errand that Melora gave him.
Yes.
I'm not sure what I want to talk first. I suppose first, like, what does Quinn hope to discover if you make it into the Temple of Melora here?
An answer.
To
anything.
42.
I mean, basically what he's looking for is...
Yeah. Took you a second.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I got it too. I was like, nice. But yeah, he at this point, he has more questions than he knows what to do with. And answers to basically only one of them is the problem is over there, in the most cursed part of the whole planet. Yeah, just go smack in the middle of that. And then that is how you'll solve the problem. But how to go there? What do when get there? Why go there? What happened? And just like so many things.
What happened?
Yeah, all this stuff. So if he can get an answer, it's more than he had when he showed up. And then he can try to also get more answers as he goes. But just at least one, he'll be okay.
I think I can
Depending
tell.
on what the
I think
answer
I
is.
can. I think I can tell you the answer to what'll happen there. You have to go find out.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. So when remind me when Quinn actually got like this directive to seek this out?
It was, I don't keep my notes when I do this show. It was around the time of I'm blanking on the name of the city, Zerthamar.
Mhm.
So it was a while back. Before he had the whole oops, I murdered a kid almost, and oops, then I murder hobo to market almost thing.
I
No,
mean,
like,
not almost.
and you're right there, yeah.
Kid almost market totally murdered.
Yeah, I know. Valid point.
Uh-huh.
But like it was, before all that happened. So then there's a
Mhm.
lot also with like for a bit there, he's wondering, is he still even welcome to go there? And now he's getting that answer. Is some people say, no, not really. Go make up your own mind and then come back later. But Quinn's like, no, no, thank you. I'm here now, and everywhere else I need to go is like wicked far.
Mhm.
So coming back is going to be just a real pain. So please and thanks, while I'm here, give to me answers. Just let me in because I've already showed up. I promise everything's cool.
My God, it's sunk cost fallacy, but it's sunk cost for you for someone else. You're like, I spent so much effort to get here.
Yeah.
Could it not be argued that like having a directive from a god overrides whatever her followers think though? Because like that was given to you personally. This is not something that Quinn would think. I think, but it's something I would think.
I mean, it is part of his argument for wanting to go in is, I was asked to be here. But then again, you got to think the other side of that is he's saying that he was told to come here. He could be saying that for literally no reason at all, because it's like people in the real world that said they spoke directly to Jesus. Did you actually? Where can you quantify this with evidence of any kind? Oh no!
Do you have a recording?
Yeah, we just take you at your word.
Yeah, the gospel.
Okay.
Well, also, is the directive still valid because it happened before you murdered a whole bunch of people?
We don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know.
We just don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think it would be funny, not in character at all, but I think it would be funny if Quinn was just pushed back past everyone, was like, don't worry, she's expecting me.
Yeah.
Just like,
I mean, yeah, he's
she knows. Yeah, just call your boss. She knows who I am.
But she texted me, I swear.
She did though. Anyway.
I got DM'd to show up here.
Wonderful. Okay. So yeah, like that point was made both in character and out character by you that things have changed a little bit since you got this directive. You now serve two gods. And I don't know, I think I'm trying to remember, but Quinn said something during the episode sort of like, this is how it is until it changes. Do you believe it will change? Like, is Quinn or are you looking to go with one over the other, because they're not actually in like competition?
Right.
This is working so far.
It is, yeah. But like any system, there must come a point where something will end and a choice is made that will go in one direction or the other, thereby excluding the other direction. So
I don't think gods are directions.
Well, as far as who to follow and who to ask for stuff, kind of.
I mean,
like, I don't know how much.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
No, please.
Okay, but it's a pantheon.
Mm-hmm.
Like in cultures where there is a pantheon, you don't have to worship just one of those gods. In fact, usually you don't. You do some worship for each. Like in the Greek mythology, you sacrifice to Artemis for certain things. You sacrifice to Hera for other things.
Mm-hmm.
Gods have domains, and people don't live inside one domain. They live amongst them.
This is true. Mm-hmm. And if this is the direction it ends up going, he can just sort of perpetuate this whole thing of just double dip on both sides basically forever because it's working out.
Double dip.
Then cool. I'm enjoying this whole
Double
thing.
deity dip. That's what's
Yes.
happening right now.
Uh-huh.
Yes, double deity dip coming soon to Dairy Queen. But if I can just keep this going with him in perpetuity, then awesome, because it's working really well. It provides some really dope ass aesthetics and everything. But then I'm just thinking in terms of how clericing normally operates. Of you get one, and they're your divine sugar mama / daddy. And then they're the ones that give you all of your juice. And they're the ones whenever you can get to do divine intervention, you're like, hey, insert God name here. Come help me by just, I don't know, telling me what I'm supposed to do, or smacking that guy real hard, or bringing back my dead friend, or some sort of other thing. So, I mean, I am interested to see how it plays out. I do not know if it will change. It's kind of part of the reason why the comment was made. Like this is the way it is until it isn't, because that is basically what's happening. Is he understands what he did to get in that situation with both of them sort of using him as a timeshare, but as far as how to make it stop or go one way or the other, he doesn't really know how to do that unless he just wants to go and do the same thing he did in the first place to get in the situation. Like, I'm good. If I want to choose Bane, I could just go kill another market full of people again by kind of sort of finger quotes accident. And then that'll be one way to make a choice. But other than that, and since he doesn't actually want to do something like that, he does not understand what else he would need to do to bring anything to an end or make any kind of actual grand decision. So he's been trying to like go more in line with Melora's stuff a bit, but it's all like subtle movements here and there, not any sort of huge grand gesture of I want this forever now, because it's very difficult to do grand gestures of good thing, as it's much easier to do grand gestures of terrible things, because it's easier to find a horrible thing to do than it is to find the one big good thing to do.
Do you think gods want grand gestures?
Depends on the intent behind them, I imagine.
I suppose. So I guess the question then is, does Quinn want it to change? Is he still looking to get back to the way things were, where it was just Melora, or get back, or actually move forward to where it's just Melora? Because I don't think he wants to go backwards.
Right.
But he seems to have viewed the current situation as a bit of a punishment.
I mean, kind of, but not really. It's not so much a punishment, more of a reminder of you were stupid. You did stupid things. Don't be stupid no more. Here's to remind you that you was real stupid that one time, and other times as well, because it's a culmination of stupid things. So it's less a punishment and more of, well, it's more the kind of punishment that wearing a dunce cap in old schoolroom / cartoons of showing that sort of thing are. Is like, use this to remember that you did dumb and try to not do dumb again.
It really is interesting to see how Quinn thinks about himself that way. What do you think about what Perry said to you? You think every chance is your last chance. That's kind of how Quinn, from Perry's point of view, that's how Quinn's been living his life.
Yeah. I mean, she's not wrong, but it's hard to it's kind of hard to explain. Like, she's not wrong about it. Like, yeah, he has viewed pretty much most chances as the last one he's going to get, but at the same time, he does not know what options there are to try to solve the problem that he has. So anytime he sees a chance to try to fix something, he does just end up latching onto that like a drowning man latches onto a life preserver of, oh, look, it's a thing I super need, and just hug it to within an inch of his life, and cling to it desperately. But yeah, it's difficult to get out of the mindset of every chance is the last chance when the one thing that comes up that could solve the problem is it looks to be, well, this is the only option that I have in front of me, so I need to make sure I pursue this immediately.
I mean, that's kind of Perry's point, though, is that
Yeah.
Quinn tunnel visions. Every chance is the last chance. Every option is the only option. And he's desperately clinging to the first solution he finds that he feels might be a guaranteed win. So it was like with the water. And, you know, this idea that when they were having that conversation, well, if I don't get it now, it's now or never. It's now or never. We're never coming back. That's not true necessarily. We could go back to a million places. I mean, we could wind up back where we all started.
Yeah.
So like her point is that Quinn doesn't look for other options. He is very, very goal-driven is not the right word for it. It's not necessarily that he's narrow-minded. It's that he's narrow-focused. Like
It's a tunnel vision.
Yeah, he option A is presented. Option B may be over here, like waving its hands, but he never looks over here to B. A.
Well, in my defense, if option B really wanted my attention, it would whistle or something to make sure I'm looking in that direction.
Does it? Because I mean, and that's Perry's like big problem with Quinn is like he never looks outside of that first choice. And like that gets him into trouble. He nearly murdered a child because that water was missing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we attacked an entire marketplace because the water was missing. Because he believed the water was the only solution. And it has reached a point where, because Perry's the kind of person who notices stuff like that, and then when they come and seek advice, instead of being wishy-washy about it, Perry just kind of tells you what she sees. Because she doesn't know any better than to be honest. So for her, she wants Quinn to be better because she knows Quinn wants to be better. And so she keeps trying to like shove him. Because she can't do anything else.
Harry of the pep talks.
Harry of the pep talks all the time, and I made the socially awkward character.
That looks like you grew out of that real fast.
You can have a socially awkward pep talk. Okay, I support this.
Hey, buddy, you're doing great.
Awesome.
Hey, bye.
Awesome.
Like Cindric's there. I gotta go.
Gotta go climb a tree. Yeah, there's something related to that I want to touch on before we move on. So I want to backtrack a couple of episodes to another pep talk / talking to that Perry gave Oriana while you were in the caves after you caught her being a bit manipulative. So I wanted you to speak on that because that was also a really interesting character interaction and haven't gotten your perspective on it.
Perry was and still is very angry about that because for her, everybody has a choice and it is unfair for her to hide information because we aren't going her way. And Perry was already frustrated because she felt like she was being babied. Oh, you almost died. Well, I'm well aware of the fact that I almost died. I've got like 3 broken ribs and, I'm not making dex saves real great right now. So I'm aware of my mortality. I don't need you to baby me. And then to turn around and to deliberately deceive us, to manipulate us, to go the way she wanted. In Perry's mind, Oriana had no right to do that. No right to decide for the group. And then to turn around and get frustrated because we had stared at a wall for 20 minutes and we're tired of looking at this wall because we figured it was still a wall. And to be kind of snotty about it. Perry is extremely frustrated with that kind of behavior. Because 1, don't treat her like she's stupid. Makes her furious. And 2, don't lie to her. She's never lied to you and she won't lie to you. Don't lie to her. And the other thing is, Oriana specifically said, if I start going down the wrong path, tell me. If I start doing things that I wouldn't normally do or seem like I'm going down the wrong path, tell me. Well, you just opened the door because Perry's gonna tell you. She, like I said, she has no filter for how do I say this without being super mean. So she just frames everything with all due respect, or you're my friend, but insert very blunt, honest reason why you're fucking up.
Mm-hmm.
So she's sort of carrying that with her, and now going into, and it's sort of carried all the way into now here we are at the Jilra, and she's terrified of the behavior that her group might show.
Mm.
I mean, for valid reasons.
For valid reasons. Like, this is, as she sees, this is a place to be honest and forthright and humble. Tell the truth, be respectful, and it will be what it will be. And she doesn't want to see her friends do something like try to talk our way in with manipulation or lies. And if that happens, Perry is liable to fly off the handle, and I'm going to have to roll a D100.
Who'll be breathing bubbles this time?
Or not breathing at all.
Or not breathing and just floating. You don't know. Perry doesn't know. Perry doesn't know a lot of things, which is part of the fun.
It's part of the fun. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. The next couple of episodes, just like seeing everyone in this environment interacting with the Oshiden, who we have not seen when they weren't dead or in nightmare dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. Okay, so with that, we're going to move on to our topic for today, which is stats, but specifically your highest and lowest stats and how that affects role playing. Yes. So now, first question for us off, do you two usually give your stats that much weight when it comes to role playing? Like, do you personally incorporate that to a large degree, a small degree, a medium degree?
I try to, at least a bit, just sort of like it, not in a huge way, but just enough to try to inform like some things about the character's personality. Like with Quinn, he has a 9 for charisma. So for that, I just sort of took a direction of Marty McFly, how dare you say I can't do that and call me a coward sort of thing. Like, he's just bad with people and has a bad temper. So I used that for that sort of thing. And, I have been trying to make him lean in more into the whole extra wisdom of being actually wise about crap and things like that lately. But just not anything huge, just like little things here and there like that.
Yeah, I sort of do the same thing. I mean, Perry doesn't have anything super bad. I got very lucky and got my one super good stat, and everything else kind of average. But
my druid was a good choice.
I was already going to play druid. But I try to like incorporate things like maybe a little naivete, or maybe they're brash and they don't think before they act, or if I've got a high intelligence score but I don't want to play a bookworm, I play them as like super street smart or just accidentally smart. Like, I just know a bunch of stuff. It doesn't mean I'm actually good at it. Like, I've accumulated a massive amount of trivia. None of it is useful.
Great Jeopardy.
It sounds like me. I have all this useless knowledge and no outlet for it.
Isn't that all of us? Isn't that why we play D&D?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we can
incorporate all of that into your character's backstory.
Yeah,
but I don't think in D&D backstory terms, being able to name almost every single Avenger in history would be much help, unless I really want to distract something as a bard that breaks the fourth wall like Deadpool.
It depends on your setting, I suppose.
That's true.
Fair enough.
What is Deadpool? Is he like a monk? Do you think?
College of Swords bard.
Yep.
I agree with that. Okay, cool beans. So back on topic.
We've given those kinds of things a lot of thought, actually. So
yeah,
haven't we all? So at what point during character creation do you normally like actually roll your stats, and does it have any effect on like what unlike how you create your character's personality, like once you get those stats and see what you have to compensate for?
A little bit. I mean, there are there are some things where depending on what number has to go where, there might be something that would go with it. Like, going back to Quinn, I'm also playing as being unable to get people to do what he wants them to do, or unable to convincingly lie about anything, because I know how the dice are going to work against me because I'm a -1 on literally anything I want to do with that. So I'm like, I may as well incorporate that into part of his character, because if I try to play him as being all super charming and fail every single time, then it just turns into he thinks he's super charming, and that gets real douchey real fast if not played exactly right. And I do not have that much faith in myself for nuance all the time.
I mean, usually I roll stats first, but I already know like what I want to play. And if I roll stats that are bad enough that I literally can't make a workable character based on those stats for the class I want to play or the story I want to tell, I will shift gears. Like, I mean, if I had rolled like a bunch of hot garbage that wasn't going to, like, there was nothing I could focus on, I might change up to play something that's more of a skill monkey so that I could spread it out. But usually I will roll stats and then decide on my character or have that character in mind. And then I'll just sort of play with personality. Like, okay, well, they're not very smart, but they're also not stupid. So they may know a lot about a little, or a little about a lot. A lot of times, mostly my physical stats play into things a lot. Like, oh nope, I got noodle arms, can't do this. Or my con's low, I have no stamina. I can run really fast for about 5 minutes, and then I'm crawling. That sort of thing.
5 minutes is a long time when you're running.
It is, yeah. You're a natural sprinter. Very dangerous over short distances.
Yeah, high dex, mid to low con.
Yeah.
Little cheetah. Wonderful. So we know Chad has, obviously, but have you guys ever played like a truly dumb character, one that has absolutely no charisma or some kind of negative stat, and how did that affect your RP?
I mean, I have a cleric who had like negative strength, so she did no lifting of any kind. Never really used a weapon. And I just sort of played into she's a super lightweight. But I don't think I've ever had anything that's been like an extreme negative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I cannot think of any other instances where I've had to incorporate something that much of a negative, like that's that much of a negative into how like a character would be like designed or played out. But yeah, what about you? You're asking questions. I ask this of you now.
Yes, answer.
The tables have been turned.
I tend to roll really well when I roll stats, actually.
So yeah, I kind of do too.
Yeah, I've always wanted to have like one really bad dumb stat because I think that'd be very fun. I wanted my barbarian for Halloween to be super dumb, but I think he ended up having like an 11 intelligence because I rolled pretty well overall.
Yeah.
But yeah, if he had like a -2 to int, that would have been ideal for that character. But
yeah,
overall, no, I don't usually have characters that have very bad stats. This is a bad topic for me.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, not that great for me either, because Quinn's the first time I've had a character that did have the negative stats. I've been fairly lucky in other ones as well.
Yeah, so actually, like, if this is your first negative stat character, like, how has playing him been different than playing your other characters where you have like normal stats?
The main difference is just like the one choice I made for his personality, as far as the fact that he is going to be a bit more garbage with people and ill-tempered and such because of the negative to the charisma and everything. Because with other characters that I've had, the stats are well-rounded enough that I don't need to try and make any sort of choice to it's basically as a reminder to not try to lean into this skill you do not have for role-playing purposes.
Uh-huh.
It's the other characters I've made, they have a fairly good chance of accomplishing the thing as long as it's not some sort of, parkour or what have you. But it's mostly just used to sort of remind me to not try to do certain things. This is your wheelhouse. This is not. Stay out of that. It's dangerous.
Yeah, don't let Quinn do the haggling.
Nope.
No, never. That's what we have Baltaim and Oriana for.
Yeah, for this next whole, people questioning him, well, why do you think you're worthy? I'd like to refer to my lawyer and just get Baltaim out there. And only because I really want him to just start pulling on imaginary spinners. I may just be a simple country warlock.
Oh, that'd be very fun, actually.
I want that to happen so bad.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't know anything about Malora, so he'd just be fully bullshitting it.
That's
Based on charisma, so it might work.
Unfortunately, I think Perry is your advocate for this, and she's also not very charismatic.
I'm doomed.
Look, she got you in.
You probably gotta do a strength test or something. I'm sure it'll be fine.
I mean, I have some strength with the big old hammer and everything.
You have to fight like a giant snake. Anyway.
How giant a snake we talking?
Giant.
Okay. Yeah. Fair.
Yeah, that's a size, isn't it? In D&D, giant.
No more worms. No more worms.
Snake is not a worm. Snake is a vertebrate. They're very cute. I like snakes. Anyway. So how much weight do you think stats should have on RP? It's pretty common for people to say, if you're playing a really low int character, you might not know common sense things that you could figure out out of character, but kind of hard to tell where that line is sometimes. So
I mean, I only would draw the line if there's something that is just an actual negative to something. If there's something where unless you get supremely lucky on dice rolls, you're gonna be complete crap at this one thing. It doesn't make sense to try and role play into I am actually really good at this one thing, unless it's in the same sense as how
you think you're good at it.
Yeah, or in the same sense as how Oriana, being a bard, is supposed to be really amazing performing stuff, and she has the worst luck at performance. To the point where sometimes, yeah, but more often than not, it is just right in the toilet, to the point where we have to question, is she good at performing stuff?
I think she just has stage fright.
I
think that might be it, and that's actually something.
Jake's Roll20, just sage it real good. I think he has some sort of hex, bless him, and I'm going to digitally sage before the next game.
Yeah, just sprinkle some sage on your keyboard.
Set up a couple of crystals, we'll be okay.
What crystals do you use to cleanse Roll20?
I don't know. Let me just maybe
I'll just be the expert here.
Let me just get some rose quartz and maybe some obsidian.
There you go, guys. Okay. You heard it here first. If you want to cleanse Roll20, get rose quartz and obsidian.
I am making shit up, by the way.
Guaranteed to work. You can send complaints to us if it hasn't complaints to Laura. Anyway.
just remember.
My Twitter is at ThirdCandy 2.0.
Yeah, at Laura. It doesn't work.
Just remember, though, if you're trying to do any kind of cleansing with crystals with Roll20, you have to make sure that the obsidian and rose quartz are gemstone dice, because it has to be thematically on brand as well.
That's very important.
Yeah, it is, because otherwise you're just sitting rocks by your computer and I guess that Chrome's going to run super great today, but not Roll20 specifically because it's not linked thematically. That's probably important. Or I'm just making stuff up and can't stop talking because I need to fill a void. I don't know. Next.
What void are you filling, Chad?
I don't know. Something. My parents messed me up.
Didn't all our parents mess us up? Anyway. Back to more lighthearted topics.
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay, so kind of on the flip side, we've been talking about low stats. How do you roleplay really high stats? Should those have an effect on RP? Do you take that into account, when you're RPing stuff?
It depends on the kind of character you're trying to go with, because I mean, I've got home game. I have a warlock that has all charisma possible for a normal character, and I basically just play him as being hard to pin down on whether or not he's lying about stuff, because it's a skill that he has. He's not great at it all the time. Sometimes he's right awful garbage at it, but it's just a thing that he can do. I don't have it be like a defining thing about him as much as just like, this is a skill that he has. Well,
Is that really true?
It doesn't define everything about him, but it defines a portion of him.
Stigma lies like at least once a session.
This is
at
true.
least once a session.
In practice.
I am a liar is Stigma's defining trait. It has been since we met him.
No, that's fair.
Love it. That's a fun way to do charisma, though. Like, not necessarily super outwardly charming, but inscrutable.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Stigma's not the most charming most of the time, but damn, can he lie?
It's
like,
true.
he lies his way through everything.
Yeah, the reason Stigma's not the most charming all the time is because I am playing him, and I am not very charming most of the time. I am an acquired taste at best.
Aw, we think you're charming.
Yes, that's because I brought Laura.
No, you're charming when she's not here too. Don't be so hard on yourself. Actually, sort of on that point, so sometimes you are playing characters that have a very high stat that you don't have in real life, or have a very low stat that you have pretty high in real life. Like, maybe you're extremely smart, as we all are, but you're playing an extremely dumb character. Or maybe you're super charming, as I am personally, but you're playing an uncharismatic character. Which is hard. Legitimately, that's hard for me. Like Adela, like low charisma character, she kept ending up being the person to talk to people just because that's what I naturally do. So talk about that, like going against your personal natural instincts when playing your stats.
Yeah, I like to think of myself as like pretty friggin' smart. And I don't think I've ever played a character who is super, super smart. Like, I've never played a character that intelligence was their like thing. Which always worries me because I'm not going to be as smart as my character, y'all. I'm not going to know things. Please don't ask me things. But also, I have a hard time playing dumb because and part of it is like, as a person, I don't like to be treated like I'm dumb. So it's hard, because I'm also not super charismatic, which is why I don't play a bard. You
could be a bard.
Yeah, you have been a bard. I was there.
Temporarily for a few sessions, and she wasn't very charismatic.
It still doesn't matter.
She was mouthy and mean to people.
Gee, I wonder where you got that from.
I mean, there's a kind of mean girl charisma. Isn't that what the movie Mean Girls is literally all about?
True enough.
I don't really have I don't really have anything that makes it difficult for me to try to extrapolate how it would work, just because I've consumed so many thousands upon thousands upon thousands of hours of media where I see other people being really good at something. Like, I can understand the physics behind professional wrestling well enough because I spent a lot of the 90s and thousands consuming that. And I can understand how, various detective investigations are supposed to work because my wife is a true crime junkie and we end up watching a lot of those things as well.
That's accurate.
Yes, it is. But like, it's something where I may not have real world experience, but I've seen somebody pretend to have real world experience enough that I might be able to, make a decent pass at something.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, a lot of roleplay is just sort of acting and making stuff up, such as when Campion pretends to know about science.
By licking stuff, specifically by licking it.
It's so funny because Everything I said is so incoherent, but
I mean, the best part is watching Jake's eye twitch every time the science is bad. But that's part of the joy of it, is like we'll come off a session and we'll all be laughing because the science nerds among us are like, no, that was stupid and wrong. It was so wrong. Oh my God. Why would you say that?
That was terrible. Stop it now.
it's fun.
Yeah, that's accurate.
So, something I just kind of wanted your guys' opinion on. What's the real difference between role-playing a low int and a low wisdom character? Because I feel like they can occasionally sort of melt together.
I mean, low intelligence would be more of just not having information, like, or being unaware of something, like not being able to read because you never learned how, or not understanding how certain, I don't know, things work in the world as far as like gods and such because you didn't read those books, or like not understanding science because you didn't read anything like that. But low wisdom would just, I think, be more in the vein of I don't know, I'm trying to think how to say this. It'd be more of, I don't know, not being able to intuit things, because it's more intelligence, more of book smart. Wisdom would be more of street smart, like being able to read people, I imagine. So,
I mean, the way I've always thought about it, because I've heard it a million times, is intelligence is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing that salsa is not a fruit salad.
The argument could be made there.
I mean, the argument could be made otherwise, but like common sense. The way I think about it is intelligence is book smart. Wisdom is like your common sense and your understanding of like knowing whether or not somebody is deliberately lying to you. Or understanding like basic human interaction. So, like, if I'm playing a character that doesn't have a lot of intelligence, but has a lot of wisdom, then maybe they don't know a lot about magic, or they don't know a lot about the way the rules work, but they're also very wise. So they're pretty street smart, and they can read people, and they know when somebody is lying to them, or when, there's something hidden.
So we're thinking of low intelligence more as a lack of, as ignorance rather than actual stupidity?
I think so, probably. Like being ignorant of something just because you've never been exposed to it or just never had to learn something about it would be a way to play low intelligence, as opposed to just, I have an intelligence of 7. Duh, what math? It's at least more of a nuanced way to play it, instead of being so dumb you think I'm going to get through that wall by using my head is a viable option.
Would that be a lack of wisdom?
I mean,
I think that would be a little bit of both.
Yeah. Sometimes the Venn diagram does,
does go that way.
Yeah.
I think there's just a fine line between those two stats, and like nature and religion are intelligence checks because it's how much do you know about the subject. Perception and insight are wisdom checks because that's about how much you understand. And how much you can intuit from what you're seeing. But it's such a fine line because there's always a choice. Am I going to make the player make a perception check or an investigation check? Are they noticing things or are they looking for things?
Interesting. Yeah, that's definitely a mechanically supported way to look at it. Okay, cool beans. And I think that's our time for today. We don't have any more time for questions. But thank you both for coming on. It's great to have you back, Laura. I hope you will be here again before like 6 months.
Well, let's see. I've got 1 semester left of grad school, and maybe this one won't involve group projects. So,
we can only hope and pray.
Fingers
Hope and
crossed.
pray for Laura, guys.
Group projects are the devil.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for being here. Thank you, Chad, for being here too. Thank you, everyone who's tuned in. We had a lovely episode today, lovely time performing for you as always. Tune in on Friday for the next episode of Roll for Damage, which I think is our 1-year anniversary. Is that it?
Yes.
Which is our 1-year anniversary. So it'll definitely be wonderful. Like every other episode.
It will, because we have a lot of stuff in the works as far as new things for people to see that we are not saying anything else about.
Yeah, tune in for some surprises. No spoilers, but they're surprises, but they're cool.
Yes.
I do know what they are. I forgot temporarily. Until you mentioned that, I was like, wait,
Truth
what?
is actively a part of the stream Discord,
I'm on
where
the
she gets to
Discord
see
all the
secret
time.
shit, but she doesn't pay attention.
No, I don't. I pay enough attention.
I mean, to be fair, none of it was about her show, so I mean,
Fine.
It's not me. I tune it out. I'm kidding. I don't. I'm an avid watcher of this show. Anyway, thank you for watching. Check out our store. Check out our Twitch. Check out our YouTube. Check out our stuff. We've been doing this for a year, and we get better every time, every episode. I promise we do. Thank you to Lady Meows and Sunbird for doing us a lovely theme song and doing us a lovely logo. Stick around for links and resources and political stuff, and we will see you next week. Have a great night.